Hello everybody, I'm Kate Hill and welcome to the Adviseable Advantage Property News Update. We try and give you honest and balanced commentary and content here. So before we get started and we do anything else, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that notification bell so that you're not missing out on all our news updates, our suburb analysis reports and free webinars, hints and tips around buying and owning property. If you are enjoying our free content, then please hit that like button too. So this week I will cover off on a weekly property buyer demand index, the latest SQM research vacancy rates data, how falling immigration figures will hit the Australian housing market, the Australian Banking Association's revised guidelines on consumer credit ratings, and finally, new data on residential investment loans. You can then jump to each particular segment that you're interested in if you don't want to watch the whole program. Don't forget that we at Adviseable are out there every day, 24/7, we're looking at property, analysing property, buying property. We really are at the coalface of what is going on out there. We are here to help you if you have any questions at all or you need help buying property. You can watch our video here, and I've also listed it in the description below for a special national house price feature. And to get a more in-depth discussion on perhaps particular locations that you're interested in, then have a watch at some of our special city feature videos as well. And let's get started. The REA Insights Weekly Demand Index, which measures high intent buyer activity on realestate.com.au, fell by 0.3% last week. Demand is now minus 13.4% lower than its peak, but it remains up year on year. Half of the states recorded a decline in demand last week, with the largest falls in Queensland at minus 2.2, Tasmania minus 1.2, and the largest increases in WA 2.7, South Australia and the Northern Territory both 1.5. Victoria recorded a further fall in demand last week at 0.4%, and really it's clear that this second lockdown is playing out quite differently from the first. Demand has trended lower since early July compared to just 3 weeks of falls during the first lockdown. However, 7 of the most in-demand suburbs in Australia are located in Victoria, so we shall see how these trends actually play out. Data from SQM research is showing that vacancy rates are falling drastically in regional areas of New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland, as many residents seek a lifestyle away from the coronavirus confines. 11 regional areas across eastern states recorded rental vacancy rates below 1% in July. SQM's Louis Christopher says there has been significant demand for rental property in regional and remote areas since the coronavirus pandemic, causing vacancy rates to fall and increasing intense competition for those trying to secure a rental property. Regional locations with the tightest rental markets include locations such as Townsville, Charters Towers, Mount Isa, Wagga, Griffith, Bendigo, Shepparton, Wodonga and the Sunshine Coast. He says that it is a landlord's market in many regional areas, but people do still want access to amenities like cafes. A Domain senior research analyst says that the pandemic has accelerated the trend of people moving to regional cities, with many renting to try before you buy. Affordability and living in smaller populations are some of the attractive features of regional living. Now, with immigration effectively paused, the National Housing Finance and Investment Corporation is predicting falls in demand by as much as 77,000 homes per year for the next 3 years. The NHFIC has predicted the pandemic will hit housing to between 129,000 to 232 dwellings over the next 3 years. Migration makes up almost 6 of every 10 new Australians, with students being half of those new arrivals. Their modelling shows that Australia's population as a whole could shrink by 0.8% in 2 years under a worst case scenario. Comparing the pandemic with the last financial downturn, the NHFIC said that while there are plenty of variables in its modelling, it is likely that Australia faces a long road to recovery. The global financial crisis revealed that economic factors, including unemployment and the exchange rate, are important for international students studying in Australia. It took around 4 years for student numbers to recover to pre-GFC levels. A protracted COVID-19 recession could easily lead to a similar path of recovery once borders reopen. That's a could, of course, and is shown in the NHFIC's report. Under its best case scenario, it sees Australia's population falling by around 129,000, which will still hurt its economic recovery. Now, as we have reported before here, it's really most likely the rental market that will be hardest hit by a fall in migration, and certainly initially. Certain rental markets are feeling it already and will feel it more the longer these border closures happen and the more construction projects that were approved 1 to 2 years ago continue to be completed. Now, you might recall that I reported on this in more detail in my latest Sydney City property report, which you can watch here, and again I've listed in the description below for you, so do give that a watch. Most banks have allowed borrowers suffering financial hardship because of the pandemic to pause loan repayments for up to 6 months, with the possibility of extending the deferral period to 10 months or until March 2021. Under revised guidelines announced by the Australian Banking Association, home loan customers and property investors who have deferred their loan payments for 6 months or longer will not have their credit ratings affected until at least March 2021. The ABA says it will extend the credit rating amnesty by a further 6 months as the economic recovery from the pandemic takes longer than expected. Under the new guidelines, the amnesty is extended and customers who have fallen into arrears with repayments can escape a credit rating penalty if they restructure their loan or apply for another hardship program. Customers who have made partial repayments during the loan deferral period will benefit from an improved repayment history. Data from the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, or APRA, shows that the number of new residential investment loans rose by 24% in the 12 months to June, while owner-occupier lending increased by 31%. However, APRA says that the new residential investment loans include refinanced mortgages. BIS Oxford Economics chief economist says that the bulk of the increase was probably boosted by refinancing, which rose 37% during that same period based on the ABS numbers. It's not really coming from demand to purchase new investment properties, so it's a lot less positive than that outlook might suggest. The ABS data showed investment lending was actually down 6% in the June quarter compared to a year ago, which obviously makes sense because investors have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. Or at least that is the perception, because the latest data, as we've reported from SQM Research, shows that vacancy rates actually fell in all capital cities except Melbourne during August. 6 of the 8 capital cities have vacancy rates ranging from 0.7% to just 2.1%, putting upward pressure on residential rentals. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on our area reports, our webinars, our further news updates, our hints and tips around property. Leave me a comment below. Let us know if you've got any questions or concerns. Please check out our website for more details on our services and how our advisors and buyers agents can help you. And I will see you again very, very soon. Bye.